In a world where visibility is often mistaken for value, there exists a choice that defies the current of the modern age. This is an exploration of that choice, of the psychology behind the deliberate step away from the digital chorus. It's about understanding the man whose story isn't told in posts, whose identity isn't curated on a profile, and whose silence speaks volumes about inner fortitude. If this perspective intrigues you, I urge you to like this piece, share it, and let's discuss it in the comments below. Your engagement helps bring these nuanced conversations to light. Let's begin with an observation many think, but few articulate. When confronted with an individual who leaves almost no trace in the digital realm, society often falters. Without a stream of updates, stories, or a persona to scrutinize in the late hours, a void of information appears. Into that void, assumptions swiftly pour. He must be concealing something. He is out of touch. He is averse to society. He is undoubtedly isolated. But this is a fundamental misreading. The psychology at play is far more intricate and purposeful. Often, men who choose a minimal digital footprint are not disconnected from life. They are profoundly connected to a more tangible reality. Their choice is not a lapse, but a lens, a filter through which they engage with the world. Once you grasp the principles behind this deliberate stance, you will perceive quietude not as absence, but as a powerful presence. Consider the man who feels no compulsion to broadcast his existence. The man who doesn't document each achievement, each meal, each passing thought. The man who lives his life without requiring an audience to authenticate it. This is not happenstance. It is a psychological position, a series of conscious and subconscious calculations about worth, energy, and self. Here is the first, crucial truth. Men who opt out of the digital identity cycle frequently prioritize internal validation over external approval. Their sense of self-worth is not tethered to the metrics of visibility, likes, shares, or follower counts. They do not need to be seen to feel real. Instead, their fulfillment stems from an internal alignment. When a significant moment occurs, their primary instinct isn't to reach for a device to capture it, but to fully inhabit the experience itself. They process the event internally, allowing the feeling to resonate without the immediate interruption of curating it for public consumption. Psychologically, this indicates a robust internal locus of control. The central question guiding their actions is, do I respect this? Rather than, will others applaud this? This framework naturally sets them at a divergence from a culture that often conflates visibility with virtue and noise with conviction. In this context, their silence can be misconstrued as a deficit, when in fact, from a psychological standpoint, it frequently signals a profound self-sufficiency. Make no mistake, if this analysis is resonating with you, hit that subscribe button. What we're exploring here is just the surface. We delve much deeper into the psychology of modern living, and I don't want you to miss those insights. A second, pivotal truth involves the stewardship of personal energy. Men with a negligible digital footprint are often, whether consciously or intuitively, fiercely protective of their cognitive and emotional resources. They operate on the understanding that attention is not an infinite commodity. Every post drafted, every online debate entered, every scroll through comparative highlight reels carries a cost. It expends focus, drains emotional reserves, and clouds mental clarity. Therefore, their opt-out is not an act of fear, but of preservation. They have likely sensed the subtle toll of constant digital exposure, the low-grade anxiety of performance, the distortion of comparing one's unedited reality to another's crafted facade. At a certain point, a calculation was made. Inner peace holds greater value than digital presence. To make that choice and maintain it in a peer-pressured world requires significant psychological resilience. Let's address a point that is seldom discussed openly. Choosing digital invisibility often demands more confidence than seeking constant visibility. When you refrain from posting, you relinquish control over the narrative. You allow others the space to form their own impressions, without a curated feed to guide them. You cannot easily correct misconceptions or shape perceptions from afar. For many, this ambiguity is deeply uncomfortable. Yet, men who embrace this path tolerate that discomfort. They do not feel an urgent need to explain themselves to the digital crowd. They can withstand being misunderstood by acquaintances or strangers. This demonstrates a notable level of emotional independence. Their security is not predicated on universal comprehension. They derive their sense of self from an internal foundation, not from the shifting sands of external perception. I want to pause here and ask you directly, does this reflect your experience or someone you know? Share your thoughts in the comments. This dialogue is essential, and every perspective enriches it. Another defining characteristic is a heightened consciousness of privacy. These individuals understand that in the digital age, information is not just shared, it is relinquished. Once data leaves your hands, control vanishes. Screenshots persist, algorithms catalog, and context can be stripped away by strangers. In response, they guard their inner world with intention. This is not inherently about being secretive in a manipulative sense. It is about exercising mature boundaries. They choose to share selectively, in person, with individuals who have earned trust through relationship. This sharing is a gift of access, not a broadcast to a timeline. Such discretion was once a social norm. Today, in an era addicted to overexposure, its rarity can appear suspect, turning a virtue into a question mark. There is a deeper, action-oriented layer to this psychology. Often, these men are builders, not broadcasters. Their primary focus is directed toward creation of skills, businesses, health, knowledge, and deep, real-world relationships. Their energy flows into the work itself, not into the packaging of that work for public consumption. They do not habitually interrupt the process of building to announce the progress. Psychological research supports this approach. Studies have suggested that publicly announcing goals can sometimes trick the brain into feeling a sense of accomplishment prematurely, siphoning off the motivational drive needed to actually complete the task. By staying quiet, these men avoid this trap. They allow the final result to speak for itself, deriving satisfaction from the completion, not the proclamation. That silence, therefore, is not empty. It is the sound of disciplined focus. Don't forget to like this piece if you're finding value here. It signals to others that this is a conversation worth having. A common misunderstanding revolves around social intelligence. The assumption is that a lack of digital presence translates to a lack of social awareness. The opposite is frequently true. Men who disengage from online personas often develop acute social skills in the physical world. They become adept at reading rooms, listening intently, and engaging in conversations that are optimized for genuine connection rather than for performance. They do not outsource their need for relationship to screens and comment threads. For them, one substantive, face-to-face interaction holds more weight than dozens of superficial online exchanges. This grounded approach can, ironically, project an aura of mystery or even intimidation, not because they are aloof, but because they do not over-explain or preemptively justify their existence. Psychologically, this maintained mystery can foster a natural, earned respect. We must also consider the component of emotional resilience. By sidestepping the constant roller coaster of online validation and comparison, these men shield their inner stability. Their mood is not subject to the daily fluctuations of engagement metrics. Their self-image is not perpetually under construction based on external feedback. This creates a more consistent emotional baseline. They experience less pressure to prove themselves to a faceless crowd, less temptation to engage in fruitless competition with curated lives, and less anxiety about missing out on trends. Their personal progress may be quieter, less documented, but it is often steadier and more internally coherent. They are the authors of their own narrative, not editors responding to live feedback. Now, let's dismantle perhaps the most pervasive assumption, that these men are lonely. This conflation is a critical error. Loneliness is not a function of digital invisibility. It is the profound feeling of being unseen, unheard, or disconnected in one's tangible life. Paradoxically, many who step back from digital spaces do so to reconnect with themselves, with their immediate environment, and with a select few others on a much deeper level. They cultivate comfort with solitude, which is a world apart from isolation. Solitude is the practiced ability to be alone with oneself without a sense of emptiness or panic. It is in these quiet spaces that self-knowledge deepens, that hobbies are rebuilt with passion, and that independent thought flourishes. A man who has mastered solitude does not chase constant distraction. He can sit with his own thoughts, understand his own drives, and make choices from a place of alignment rather than reactivity. This hard-won self-knowledge radiates into every aspect of his life, from his communication to his commitments to his calm ability to walk away from what does not serve him. Share this with someone who needs to hear this today, who needs permission to value their peace over public perception. Furthermore, this choice can be a protective, even healing, instinct. For some, the move toward a zero footprint follows a negative experience with the digital world: betrayal, severe misinterpretation, harassment, or having private words weaponized against them. In this light, withdrawal is not weakness. It is a strategic retreat for recalibration. It is the process of privately rebuilding a fragmented or compromised sense of self before choosing how, and if, to re-engage with the world on new, more intentional terms. It is psychological triage. Finally, there exists a philosophical underpinning to this lifestyle. Men with minimal digital footprints often consciously reject the notion that an experience only gains validity once it is documented and shared. They operate on the principle that life is for living, not for archiving. They are participants, not journalists of their own existence. Their confidence does not need to be announced. It is demonstrated through action, presence, and a calm, unwavering demeanor that becomes unmistakable when you encounter them in person. Their legacy is not a digital trail, but the impact they have on the people and projects within their immediate sphere. They find meaning in depth, not in breadth of exposure. In a culture shouting, "Look at me," their quiet stance is a powerful, countercultural statement. I am here, fully present, and that is enough. So, if you are a man navigating this path of minimal digital footprint, understand this clearly. You are not behind. You are not irrelevant. You are not suspicious. You have simply assessed the economy of modern attention and chosen to invest your capital, your focus, your energy, your spirit elsewhere. You have chosen a path that does not mistake noise for substance. And if this piece has articulated something you felt but seldom heard validated, then let me say this: you are not alone in your silence. There is a quiet fellowship growing, one that values substance over signal, depth over diffusion, and reality over rehearsal. If this resonated with you at any point, I cannot overstate how helpful it is to like, share, and comment. Your engagement is what allows these vital discussions to continue and reach others who are quietly asking the same questions. Subscribe to stay connected with this ongoing exploration of psychology, modern life, and the courage to define success on your own terms. In a world obsessed with visibility, choosing privacy is not an act of weakness. It is an act of sovereignty. It is the quiet, deliberate work of building a life that is felt deeply in the bones, rather than one that is merely seen flickering on a screen. That work is its own reward, and its impact, though often unposted, is real. Let me know in the comments, what part of this philosophy speaks most to you? Is it the preservation of energy, the comfort with solitude, the focus on building? The conversation starts with you. Share your story, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content that challenges the surface-level narratives we're fed every day.